Hi, this is Bill Cates for Referral Minute for the day. I brought Joey Davenport with Hoopus Performance Network and author of Trustworthy Selling to share another idea with you. We were chatting a little bit after the last segment he did. I said, man, you got to share that with our Referral Minute viewers. So, Joey Davenport, come on again and share another idea.
Hi, this is Joey Davenport, president of the Hoopus Performance Network. I'm honored to be a guest today on the Referral Minute. And what I'm going to share with you all is a concept from a program that we developed with LIMRA called Trustworthy Selling. And in that program, we get into behavioral economics, and LIMRA identified 7 tactics that when applied to the sales process, in particular the closing presentation, would increase the likelihood to buy by 29%. For example, there's one of the 7 tactics called the fairness doctrine. People want to feel like they're being treated fairly during the sales process. If myself as the prospect feels like I'm not being treated fairly in the sales process, it's been proven through research that they'll actually make decisions counter to their best interest just to spite the advisor, if you can imagine that. So the question becomes, what can I say or do in that closing presentation to make them feel like I'm sitting on the same side of the table with them and treating them fairly? A couple of quick ones here for the Referral Minute. One would be, LIMRA research shows that 71% of consumers are more confused after they meet with an advisor than before, if you can imagine that, but it's the truth. We show up with jargon, our charts, and our ledgers. We leave, they're totally confused. So one way to alleviate this is when you're going through your closing presentation, let's say the ledger presentation, which can be complicated, I just want to do a check-in and pause intermittently and say, hey, Bill, I know this stuff can be confusing. Let me just ask you at this point, what questions do you have? I'm sure you have some questions. What questions do you have? Most advisors out there say, do you have any questions? Completely different way to state this because it isn't creating a safe environment. When you say what questions you have, you're assuming they're questions. It's a safe environment for them. Psychologically, they feel like that you're treating them fairly. Another one is you want to put the onus on you. So at some point I might check intermittently and just ask, hey, I know this stuff can be confusing. Let me just ask, am I explaining this clearly? Instead of, does this make sense to you? Most advisors make the mistake of saying, does this make sense to you? And our prospects will go, uh-huh, and then they tell you they want to think about it. Well, if you just pause and say, am I explaining this clearly? It puts the onus on me. Psychologically, they feel like I'm treating them fair and on the same side of the table with them. So a couple of behavioral economics language there on the fairness doctrine from Trustworthy Selling. And be sure to check out Bill's resources on referralcoach.com. And glad you had me today. Good luck.
Joey, thank you for that. That's a great way to look at the subtlety of the language that we use. All the difference, what questions do you have versus do you have any questions? What a great idea. So make sure that you've scheduled on your calendar to come to the Referral Fitness Training Camp on April 23rd and 24th, a day and a half, full day on the 23rd, half day on the 24th. You'll be home with your family by the evening of the 24th for a full immersion, deep dive into our entire system, how to articulate your value more clearly to your clients, how to be more referable in the first place so that you get referrals without asking, how to plant seeds for referrals, how to ask for referrals, turning the referrals into an introduction, how to get referrals from CPAs and attorneys, how to maximize your event marketing. So many things we're going to cover, all of which will help you create a thriving, emphasis on thriving, referral-based business culture. Bill Cates with Referral Minute asking you, who are you going to be introduced to today? Thanks for watching.